do is just spend a minute walking you through the way we're going to use Canvas in this course. Basically, it's going to be very similar to how you see Canvas in the other courses that you're doing online. But of course, every subject has its own little tweaks, its own little requirements. So I just thought this might make it easier for you to find what you're looking for. And chances are, if you send me an email, ask me how to find something, I'm going to refer you to this video. So you may as well start here. So I just need to hit a button. What you should be seeing on the screen now is something that'll look very similar to what you see when you log in. Might not be your semester, might not be exactly your offering, but basically it's should look very similar as an online student. So you'll come into this home page every time. When you scroll down, you get to see a video of me there, and there's a whole lot of links. In particular, the course orientation is really important, and one of the things I want you to do really early on is to share with me a time that's going to suit you to do an online webinar. But every time you come in, you'll see this. It's great. It's got a little to-do list on the side. Did I mention the webinar? If those things are annoying you, you can always just basically get rid of them, but they'll probably come up again if anything changes. Down the side here, we've got the usual buttons. It should work for all of you. But let me just show you some tricks that are quite useful. So firstly, the syllabus page, that gets you to what we call the Part B, which is a singularly unhelpful name for a document, but it's basically sets out the details for this semester's offering of the course that you're doing. On this side here, you'll see your assessments weighted by group. So our first major assessment is the assignment, which will involve writing a memorandum to a supervising lawyer. But before you even start with that, there's a little assessment task made up of 10 different critical analysis or problem solving tasks, which you'll get to do over the course of the whole of the semester, and your best 5 contributions will be taken into account. So there's more information about that in the assessment task area, and I will talk about it with you specifically. Then you'll find this course summary page is really quite useful. You can just link down here, and day by day it will tell you the things that are due. Now, not everything here that is due is actually accessible. Some of these are very small tasks. I tend to work on the basis that more information is better than looking for information. So I've basically listed every possible thing that you might do, and in fact this list is going to get longer because I will add to the calendar, which by the way you can click by accessing this button over here. The calendar itself will always have all of the events in it. So I've put a calendar event on Monday each week, which has the topic for the week in it, and so you'll be able to move through there. When you're thinking about planning holidays or whatever, you can use the calendar to flick through to see what is going to be done, and you can use this calendar feed button here to feed that into whatever diary system you use on your phone or online, so if you want to get fancy about it. But basically just clicking back into our course syllabus, the next thing that's useful is the announcements area. At the time that I'm making this, there are no announcements, but what you'll find is I communicate with you quite regularly. The announcements will come through as emails as well, and if you respond to an announcement either by replying to an email or here, it creates like a little discussion board. But this is where the magic happens, is in the modules area, and here you will see it's basically like a big menu for a website. Now, an easy way to do it is to just start on page 1, read the materials, and just keep clicking through next. But it can be quite hard to actually get a sense of where you fit in the whole organization doing that. So I'm just going to close up these first couple of modules. So the modules are what we call the overview headings, and you'll see once we start teaching weeks that there are a whole lot of basically week by week materials. So what this will look like is something like this. Each week you will have some introductory material, some opportunities to test your understanding, and then some other topic questions. So if you start at the beginning and move your way through, you'll see that there's material to read. There's a video. This is my former colleague, Dave Goodwin, who does these little video bits, and it'll also tell you what you need to read for the topic. Then you'll basically get through, there'll be some reading to do, you'll keep flicking through and you'll get some exercises. I'm in the process of turning the exercises into quizzes, so they're a little bit more interactive, a little bit more fun, but at the time I'm recording that, this is just exercises to do. So if I flick back to the modules area, basically each week you will see that there is an overview of everything. I've separated out for each week the content materials, and then there will be another area here where I will provide the slides, and then when I have actually undertaken the lecture, I will upload a recording of the lecture there. Sometimes that might just be audio, but usually when I do it, what you'll find is you get a link to a YouTube video which will have the PowerPoint slides. You'll be able to take your own copy, work along with them. I'm absolutely not offended if you crank up the volume and turn me into chipmunk speed. Plenty of people have done it, and it's a good way to work through. As we get sort of into the real bulk, you'll see that there are activities. It'll be very clear if they're accessible. So this one, for example, is your first discussion board problem. And for online students, that contributes towards 5% of your overall mark. And then otherwise, whether or not they're just quizzes or additional material. So as you work through, you'll see week by week. So in fact, topic 2 is over weeks 2 and 3, and then you'll see week by week recordings and slides. But also we'll provide some overview material to support the assignments, butting them in when it's relevant for you to do them. So work your way through that. You'll find that's quite useful. If you want to flick forward into the discussion area, you'll see that the discussions basically, hopefully I'll remember to pin them week by week. It doesn't do it automatically. It should have the first discussion I want you to involve in, not accessible, but I'd really like to know a little bit more about you, and I'm sure your classmates would too. And then your very first accessible discussion board task. For every assignment, there is also an FAQ in relation to the assignments. So that's a great place if you've got questions, comments, frustrations, compliments even, to share them there. And it's always, if you've got a question, a good idea to go and check the FAQs to see if somebody else has asked the question and whether we can share it there. Because if you send me a question, chances are it'll be a good question, and I will probably reproduce it there anyway. So next, assignments. Everybody wants to know about assignments, and I'll make a separate video to explain the assignments to you, but you'll be able to see what's upcoming there. Here you can go to your grades. That's not going to show us anything now. And then you can also find the different kinds of quizzes and surveys in here as well. Shouldn't be problematic. Another useful tool here is the inbox. Right now it's not going to show you anything, so I'll flip back so you can see my face instead. Sending emails through Canvas is a good way to communicate. I must admit that sometimes they don't show up, not so much the emails, but if you put something in a discussion, it's very easy as a teacher to miss those. So particularly if you want to get a quick response, and I'm pretty good at getting back to people within 24, 48 hours, then I suggest that you send an email either through Canvas or at Catherine, catherine.nolan@rmit.edu.au. And by the way, you can always call me as well. I know some of you may well be living in different countries. I'm on WhatsApp and Viber, as well as I've got ordinary old mobile. And so country code is 61, and the number in Australia, you drop the 0 if you're calling from somewhere else, is 0411 073 838. More than happy to take your calls. Send me a text. By the way, I don't pick up if I'm talking to somebody else or I'm in a meeting or it doesn't suit me. If you leave me a message with your name and number, I will get back to it. to you. Once I know who you are, you'll be in my phone. I'll probably get back to you anyway, but I don't just return calls of random people who call me and don't leave a message. That's pretty normal these days, yeah? Anyway, back to thinking about how Canvas works. Other than what I've been showing you just then, sorry, I'm just going back into fundamentals of core, I don't think there's anything particularly tricky that I need to point out. Yes, there is. One of the things that I do, so one of the ways that we work is the online and face-to-faces, we treat them all as one class. So you get a lot of content that is recordings of face-to-face lectures. Now, you'll get those every week, but I like to have very active class participation, and that can be great when you're in the classroom, and it can be really difficult to listen to. So when I know that I've planned for something that's going to be really active, like not just me explaining things and lecturing, then what I do is I create what I call desk lectures. So you will find that they look something like this. It'll say desk lectures. In fact, I'm working on putting some headings so that they really stand out. And when you click into those, you will see that there are basically little lectures like that, more of me looking into space because I'm hopeless at remembering to look in the camera, and it basically working through the slide packs and providing as much background as I can. Often people find that it's useful to do the reading first, then watch the desk lectures, and then make a decision about whether you even need to listen to the class recordings or not. There can be a bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, but on the whole, you'll just, particularly if you're confused about the way I described it in the desk lecture, you might find I describe it differently in the class. Questions, concerns, frustrations? You've already got my details. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Cheers.